Hello, my dear friend. Hello, my human beings in the ecosystem you are living in. I'll start with the saddest news that I'm receiving via newspapers. Local in Kenya, brief, and almost when you read Kenyan newspapers, you don't even know what you're reading. But let me just slow down here a little bit and have a moment of silence. Because Rebecca Cheptegei, 33 years old, athlete, mother of 2 daughters, a national hero of Uganda, a humanitarian, passed away this morning. It's a story too common for me to comprehend. It's a tragedy too common for me to understand. It's a tragedy too common for those who've been following the femicide tragedies and violence and gender-based violence, not just in Kenya. It's violence across all kinds of boundaries, nationalities, local areas that you know of or I don't know of. It's violence gone wild. And it doesn't get old, does it? Rebecca Cheptegei, an athlete who came home to visit in Kenya last few days or last week. She was at her house with her 2 daughters. An estranged partner allegedly walked into her house, doused her with kerosene, paraffin, whatever you call it, and lit Rebecca Cheptegei. I've been following this story since I first read about it. 80% of her body was burnt. They flew her to Eldoret Hospital in parts of Kenya. They were planning to airlift at Nairobi. I don't know the details here. She passed away this morning. She just come from Paris Olympics, where I've been focusing these stories after stories of Kenyans and Kenyan heroines, and even including Uganda, our neighbor. She had come 47th in the Olympics. She was a 2:22 marathon runner, national record holder in Uganda. She is 33. She dies at the jaws of violence. Violence that has beset women, not just in Kenya, but globally. I speak with a sad, heavy heart myself because when I speak of athletes, I'm always smiling and talking well, and I'm trying to give them a voice. And when a voice is silenced violently, indiscriminately, and innocently, it poses the question, why? Is evil I'm staring at? It could be something else. People might subscribe or prescribe. But to dose somebody with kerosene and see them burn is truly violence with no boundaries, isn't it? And this is coming in the heels on the wake of 2 years ago, where Agnes Tirop, another Kenyan woman, another Kenyan athlete, another Kenyan mother, who was butchered and murdered by an estranged husband out of jealousy, according to stories I was reading. She was a top 10K roadrunner at a prime. She was only 23 or 25. Pardon me for that misquote. It's wrong. It's always wrong. Rebecca CHEPTEGEI, 33, mother of 2 daughters, is no longer with us. I hope justice is served once, at least once. How long? How many? It's hard to switch, but I'll switch a little bit because I get kind of down. So let me go to Paris. Maybe Paris will give us a sense of escape, a sense of something to get cheerful a little bit about. It's hard in my soul sometimes to do this. Yeah, Paralympics are still going on. I think they have 3 more days to go. I've been delving in a little bit. I didn't give you the full coverage of the other Olympics that happened in August and July. But like I say, I shared the last one of how the Paralympics have been going on and how I was feeling a sense of my presence there because I have an experience sharing the space and with people with disabilities. And so I went to watch the 1500 meters men final, which is the T11. T11, if you don't know what T11 is, they have categories, and T11 for the people who are blind is the T11 means they're totally blind, so they cannot see anything at all. So that's the one I've been exposed to, or because of the friend I talked about. And so these people need a guide. They need somebody next to them with a string attached to their wrist, and they run together in synchronized way that I explained last time. So I watched this final. It was a parade of good athletes whom I don't know. I have to, I've never heard of their names, but I was curious and I watched the unfolding of the race in the 1500 meter final. Brazil were the protagonists there. Jacques Yeltsin is a world record holder. He had a 3:57 coming into this final. I'll call him myself proudly, is the Jakob Ingebrigtsen of 1500 meters in that category of T1. And it lives up to the announcers were hyping, and I read some things about it before the race. And it unfolds beautifully because when you see partners or people running together, you can see a top level of people been training very well. Because I think sometimes when you see able bodies, which is, I'm talking of the previous Olympics before the Paralympics, when you see able bodies, you see just one person going. But when you see 2, it takes a lot of work, and you can tell they've been preparing, they've been training together, they know each other, they speak. You have to say what's going on to the athlete who cannot see. You can tell, hey, you're in 3rd place, or pick up the pace, or you are closing in on somebody, because it's visual for those who can see, and of course for those who cannot see. So there's a language and there's a body movement, and all these things have to be in sync. I'm speaking because you see this at what I call the Olympic level, because in the Olympic, you're seeing the epics, you're seeing the refined form of synchronized running. And there's synchronized swimming, by the way. So this is synchronized running. Synchronized, for those who are trying to get it, is everything has to go together. there has to be that togetherness. If it's movement forward, there has to be that. And so I was very, very fascinated, as I've said before. And the race unfolded beautifully. Jacques Yeltsin had no competition. He's a world record holder, and it was a post-race favorite, and he lives up to the hype. The gap between him and even second place was almost 50 meters. And I think the last 400 meters, he ran at 57. Or if I don't know whether I clocked him, but it was that gap and that smooth. He wins in 3:55 in 1500 meters. That is quick. So if you are talking about 3:55 for the T11, I'm just trying to make you understand for those people who have been looking at the other Olympics and the other quality of times. 3:55 for women at the Faith Kipyegon level, that could be a medal. But you're talking about people who cannot see at the same time. So I'm just saying that competition, even at these Paralympics, is still very high. So I'm giving you that perspective to look in. 3:55 for T1, somebody who cannot see and still run incredible time. It was phenomenal. So from 3:57, which was the former world record, he breaks the world record here in the Olympics and wins with a big margin. And in second place was Yekso from Ethiopia, Seleshki. Big gap, almost 50-meter win for the Brazil. And then Agrippino dos Santos from Brazil comes third. So it was Brazil, Ethiopia, Brazil. And so when I saw Brazil, and I had watched the 5K race, the final, and there was a Brazilian who won it. Decent time, winning time. So I started to ask myself, Brazil, distance running, it doesn't make sense, because you think of distance running, we've always talked of, Kenya, you talked of Ethiopia, you talked of Algeria, maybe Morocco, and other countries. And then Brazil in distance running. And so I got more really like, oh, what's going on in Brazil? They got distance runners. Only to find out that in Paralympics, they've been doing very well as a country because they've invested in the infrastructure of Paralympics. They've done so well. There is a national organization. They call it the National Paralympic Committee. They have this national framework of organizing that goes all the way to grassroots. I think the other thing, they've tapped into the fact that it brings pride to the country. Whatever brings pride to the country, you invest in it. They've created an empowered grassroots growth, grassroots sports. Because when I look here where I live, I don't think I've seen soccer for the blind, so to speak. It's very rare, and it's always organized by NGO, like a special unit. They always call it special. It's almost like an afterthought, which is a tragedy, because if you watch the talent and the abilities within the disabled community, it's immense, appreciated, tapped, potential that's just sitting there ready to be brought out. And when you see it in the Brazilian team, I was like, wow. The other thing they've done, they do a lot of benchmarking. It's a very transparent system. The committee is held accountable. I think I was reading something about the lottery system, lottery, where you go and, hopefully you're gambling. It's just gamble. The lottery system in Brazil donates, or 2% of the lottery in the nation goes into these sports. So sports is supported very, very commercially. There's a commercial aspect. It's not just nonprofit. Because nonprofit, when you think of nonprofit, it's an entity which is beautiful in itself, but it's limited. But when the country says these are part of the national narrative, the national fiber, there's growth. It's so interesting that I say this because even a country like America, I know it's a great country. They've assimilated disability population into the whole fiber and the fabric of the nation, which is a great thing. And I think what caught my eye is this idea of Brazil distance running. The other thing they've done, which is that, there's a guy who is the head of the committee. He's a former blind football athlete, not football America, soccer. So he used to play soccer at a certain level. He heads the national committee. That tells you that when people who are who have disability takes over, I don't mind other people contributing, but when they know what the other people need, they seem to deliver better. So Brazil has done very well. I was just reading some of these things, and to me it's fascinating, and it made me realize that if a country wants to develop, and I even saw some Kenyans by there, I'm not saying other countries are not. Ethiopia has been doing very well in these Paralympics. I saw some Kenyan athletes who've done well. I mentioned Waithera in the 1500 meters race before. I think we are working our way into the level that Brazil is in. But again, Brazil has a larger population of disabled athletes or people with disability. Somebody was saying that they have the reason why they have a violent society. I don't know how that works. So there are people being either what, I don't know. But they were saying they have a lot of people. China is the same way. I was watching long jump and other field events. China is doing very well. And I think the characteristic of a society that influences the number of people with disability. So there's this idea of the makeup of the population and how the country wants to bring the best out of them in these Paralympics. So it was something that I was really curious about, and it gave me a different look on how sports is developed and managed and given an avenue in the system to shine, so to speak. So a perspective, that's my perspective. I've learned a lot. I'm appreciating seeing different things from different arenas. And these Paralympics are really opened my eye to appreciate people with disability, so to speak, and to realize that disability doesn't mean they don't have the potential. There's potential in anybody that sees that. So 1500 meters, I saw that Brazil is doing very well, and I delve into of why. The infrastructure there is incredible. It's a national organization. And it's a beautiful thing to see how they've done very well. I think they're like top 3 right now in the medal count in the Paralympics. I think China is running away with it in the medal count. USA is always there as usual. Ethiopia, to be honest with you, surprises me still. But it's always been a country who is proactive in how they promote their athletes. It's a beautiful thing to share that with you guys. I hope you appreciate that perspective and a different outlook, a different way of looking at things. It shouldn't be different, it should be normal. I don't know why I say that, but I'm catching myself too. That just because people are disabled doesn't mean it's abnormal. Okay? That's who they are. And that's how they navigate the world. It's a good day for me to share that. I hope you have a wonderful day. Again, this was for Rebecca CHEPTEGEI, age 33. May she rest in peace.